Welcome friends. Today we are recording 7th video on our circular series, and in this video we'll be discussing from circular number 31 to circular number 35. Let me share my screen friends first. Yeah. So friends, we'll be starting from circular number 31 in this video. Circular number 31 is dated 9th February 2018, and this is pertaining to the proper officer under section 73-74, and the monetary limits have been freezed by the way of this circular. They have said that the circular number 1 was issued by the board, wherein the proper officers were assigned their duties. फिर उसके बाद 3/2017 था 5 जुलाई का, उसमें भी बाकी के सेक्शंस का अलॉटमेंट हुआ. And now they are deciding that superintendents of central tax shall also be empowered to issue show cause notices and orders under section 74 of the CGST. And therefore जो उनकी एंट्रीज थी 3/2017 के सर्कुलर में, उसको वो ऐड कर रहे हैं, उसमें थोड़ा सा चेंजेस अमेंडमेंट्स कर रहे हैं. एंड सीरियल नंबर 4 पे सुपरिटेंडेंट को भी एंट्री किया है, एंड सेक्शन 74 के सबसेक्शन 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9 और 10 के पावर्स उनको दिए हैं. सबसेक्शन 2 के प्रोविजंस के हिसाब से जहाँ पे आप साइन कर सकते हैं, वहाँ पे बोला गया है कि जो ऑफिसर सेंट्रल टैक्स का होगा, ही में एक्सरसाइज द पावर्स एंड डिस्चार्ज द ड्यूटीज विच आर कंफर्म्ड under the CGST or any other officer of central tax who is subordinate to him. So ये एंट्री जो है अभी रिमूव कर दी गई है टेबल पेज नंबर 2 सर्कुलर नंबर 3/2017 से. दिस हैज बीन रिमूव. सो दिस इज एन अमेंडमेंट इन 3/2017. 4 नंबर ऐड किया है और ये 3 नंबर का जो टेबल था पेज नंबर 2 से, वहां से हटा दिया गया है. देन फर्दर दे आर सेइंग कि जो भी ऑफिसर्स हैं, एडिशनल कमिश्नर, जॉइंट कमिश्नर ऑफ सेंट्रल टैक्स के रैंक के, उनको प्रॉपर ऑफिसर बताया गया फॉर इशुएंस ऑफ शो कॉज नोटिस एंड ऑर्डर्स अंडर सेक्शन 73 एंड 74 ऑफ द CGST. प्लस उनको IGST के अंदर भी पावर दिए गए हैं एज पर सेक्शन 3 रेड विद सेक्शन 20 ऑफ द IGST एक्ट. देन फर्दर दे आर सेइंग कि ऑप्टिमल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वर्क relating to issuance of show cause notice and orders under section 73-74 के लिए CGST और IGST एक्ट में मॉनेटरी लिमिट्स फिक्स की गई हैं डिफरेंट लेवल ऑफ ऑफिसर्स ऑफ सेंट्रल टैक्स और सेक्शन 20 ऑफ द IGST एक्ट के हिसाब से. सो दीज आर द मॉनेटरी लिमिट्स व्हिच हैव बीन फिक्स्ड. सुपरिटेंडेंट के लिए 10 लाख, और and this is where the situations are applicable, like it says monetary limit of amount of central tax not paid or short paid or erroneously refunded or input tax credit wrongly availed for issuance of show cause notice and passing orders under section 73-74. then monetary limit of amount of integrated tax. तो टेबल नंबर 4 में कॉलम 4 में यहाँ 20 लाख हो गया. इसी तरीके से डिप्टी कमिश्नर का 10 लाख से 1 करोड़ तक, और यहाँ 20 लाख से 2 करोड़ तक. एडिशनल और ज्वाइंट कमिश्नर का 1 करोड़ के ऊपर इनके पास पावर्स रहेंगी फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ एडजुडिकेशन अंडर सेक्शन 73 एंड 74. फर्दर दे आर सेइंग कि जो सेंट्रल ऑफिसर हैं ऑडिट कमिश्नरेट्स में या डायरेक्टर जनरल ऑफ GST इंटेलिजेंस में, ये जो ऑफिसर्स हैं वो एक्सरसाइज करेंगे पावर केवल शो कॉज नोटिस इशू करने का. इसका एडजुडिकेशन जो होगा वो एग्जीक्यूटिव कमिश्नरेट करेगा. सो दिस वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड अर्लियर आल्सो कि ओनली द शो कॉज नोटिस विल बी इशूड बाय द ऑडिट कमिश्नरेट्स एंड द DGGI, and the execution will be done, or the adjudication will be done by the executive commissioner. And in case there are one or more than one notices mentioned in the show cause notice having their principal place of business falling in multiple commissioners, the show cause notice shall be adjudicated by the competent central tax officer in whose jurisdiction the principal place of business of the noticee from whom the highest demand of central tax or integrated tax has been made falls. तो अगर मल्टीपल प्लेसेस में आप रजिस्टर्ड हो तो उस प्लेस पे आपका एडजुडिकेशन होगा जिस प्लेस से पे आपका मैक्सिमम लायबिलिटी है. at that place you will be adjudicated. Now further it is saying notwithstanding anything in para 6 above, so it is overriding a show cause notice issued by DGGSTI in which the principal place of business of notices fall in multiple commissioners and where the commissioner central tax or integrated tax involved in more than 5 crores, यहाँ पे 5 करोड़ से ज़्यादा का इन्वॉल्वमेंट है. In that case, it shall be adjudicated by the officer of the rank of additional commissioner or additional director or additional commissioner who shall not be on the strength of DGGSTI. बोलिए एडिशनल डायरेक्टर पहले था, लेकिन आज की डेट में वो नहीं होना चाहिए। एडिशनल कमिश्नर भी कर सकता है जो बोर्ड असाइन करेगा, लेकिन वो DGGST की पोस्ट पर नहीं होना चाहिए and working there at the time of adjudication. So similar cases can also be allotted to him. And in case where the show cause notices have been issued on similar issues to a noticee and made answerable to different level of adjudicating authorities with the commissionerate, such show cause notice shall be adjudicated by the adjudicating authority competent to decide the case involving the highest number of central tax or integrated tax. Meaning thereby अगर एक ही issue है और मल्टीपल नोटिसेस हैं, कोई 10 लाख का है, कोई 9 लाख का है, कोई 25 लाख का है और कोई 4 करोड़ का, तो जो मैक्सिमम अमाउंट वाला जो ऑफिसर होगा जो एडजुडिकेट करेगा, वही एडजुडिकेशन करेगा सारे शोकॉज नोटिसेस का. दैट इज व्हाट इज प्रपोज्ड. ओके, सो एंड मेड आंसरेबल टू डिफरेंट लेवल ऑफ एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटीज विद द कमिश्नर. सच शोकॉज नोटिसेस, तो सारे शोकॉज नोटिसेस शैल बी एडजुडिकेटेड बाय द एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी competent to decide the case involving the highest amount of central tax or integrated tax. So friends, this was 31/2018. Now moving to 32/2018. Friends, in respect of certain services, this circular is being issued, जहाँ पे उन्होंने क्लैरिफाई किया है कि कैसे टैक्सेबिलिटी होगी, क्या सिचुएशंस रहेगी. पहला है, in hostel accommodation provided by trust to students covered within the definition of charitable activities and thus exempt under serial number 1 of 12/2017. So whether it is exempt hostel accommodation. The hostel accommodation services, clarification is hostel accommodation services do not fall within the ambit of charitable activities. जो 12/2017 में जो डिफाइन किया चैरिटेबल एक्टिविटीज को, उसके अंदर ये फॉल नहीं होता. However, services by a hotel, inn, guest house, club or campsite by whatever name called for residential or lodging purposes, having declared tariff of a unit of accommodation below 1000 rupees per day or equivalent are exempt. तो 1000 रुपए से नीचे अगर रहता है तो वो exempt रहता है. And therefore the accommodation services in hostels including by trust having declared tariff below 1000 rupees is exempt. तो 1000 रुपए से नीचे का अगर रहता है then it is exempt, otherwise it is not exempt. Next is GST leviable on the fees or amount charged in the following situations or cases. 1. The customer pays fees while registering complaints to Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission office or its subordinate offices. These fees are credited into a state customer welfare fund bank account. इसमें क्या रहेगा? Second, Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission office and its subordinate offices charge penalties in case where it is required. उसमें क्या रहेगा? When a person files an appeal to Consumers Dispute Redressal Commission against order of district forum, amount equal to 50% of the total amount imposed by district forum or 20,000 rupees, whichever is less, is required to be paid. So what will be the situation in these cases? So clarification given is, services by any court or tribunal established under any law for the time being in force is neither supply of goods nor services. It has been included in Schedule 3. Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission may not be tribunals literally, as they may not have been set up directly under Article 323B of the Constitution. 323B में सेटअप नहीं है, इसलिए ट्राइब्यूनल की कैटेगरी में नहीं आएंगे. However, they are clothed with the characteristic of a tribunal on account of the following. लेकिन फिर भी ये सिमिलर है या सिमिलर कैरेक्टर के हैं जो ट्राइब्यूनल होता है. So first, statement of objects and reasons as mentioned in the Consumer Protection Bill state that one of its objects is to provide speedy and simple redressal to consumer disputes for which a quasi-judicial machinery is sought to be set up at district, state and central levels. So the statement of object and reasons clearly says that. Second, President of the District, State, National Dispute Redressal Commission is a person who has been or is qualified to be district judge, high court judge or supreme court judge. तो डिस्ट्रिक्ट स्टेट में डिस्ट्रिक्ट जज, नेशनल डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशन और इसके लिए जो पर्सन है वो क्वालिफाइड होना चाहिए, उसका जो प्रेसिडेंट बनने की कैपेसिटी रखता है. These commissions have been vested with the power of a civil court under CPC for issuing summons, enforcing attendance of defendants, witness, reception of evidence, discovery, production of documents, examination of witness, etc. Fourth is every proceeding in these commissions is deemed to be a judicial proceedings, जैसे आपके GST में भी होते हैं. The commissions have been deemed to be a civil court under CRPC. Now, appeals against district commissions lie to state commission, while appeals against the state commission lie to national commission. Appeals against national commission lies to Supreme Court. In view of the aforesaid, it is hereby clarified that fees paid by litigants in the consumer dispute redressal commissions are not leviable to GST. Any penalty imposed by or amount paid to these commissions will not attract GST. So they have clarified that this is although it is not a tribunal, but it will take the color and shape of tribunal because of these reasons, and therefore there will not be any leviability of GST on this. Moving to next question, whether the services of elephant or camel ride, rickshaw ride, and boat ride should be classified under the heading 9964 passenger transport service, in which case the rate of tax on such services will be 18%, or under heading 9996 recreational, cultural, and sporting services, treating them as joy rides leviable to 28%. So it says elephant camel joy rides cannot be classified as transportation services. These services will attract 18%, with threshold exemption being available to the small service providers. So they are saying it will be classified as transportation services, and therefore 18% will be applicable. Next is, what is the GST rate applicable on rental services of self-propelled access equipment like boom scissors or telehandlers? The equipment is imported at GST rate of 28%, and leased further in India, where operator is supplied by the leasing company. Diesel for working of machine is supplied by customer, and transportation costs including lodging and unloading, loading and unloading is also paid by the customer. So GST rate की applicability की बात है यहाँ पे, और it says leasing or rental services with or without operator for any purpose are taxed at the same rate of GST as applicable on the supply of live goods involving transfer of title of goods. So same rate will be applicable in case of leasing also, where the title is getting transferred. The rate will be applicable as the rate of goods. Thus, the GST rate for rental services in the given case shall be 28%, provided the said goods attract GST of 28%. IGST paid at the time of import of these goods would be available for discharging IGST on rental services. Thus, the only value of value added gets taxed. Next is GST leviable on the following cases? Fifth, 1. Hospitals hire senior doctors, consultants, technicians independently without any contract of such persons with the patient, and pay them consultancy charges without there being any employer-employee relationship. Will such consultancy charges be exempt from GST? Will revenue take a stand that they are providing services to hospitals and not to patients, and hence must pay GST? 2. The retention money. Hospitals charge the patient say 10,000 rupees and pay to the consultants and technicians only 7,500, and keep the balance for providing ancillary services, which includes nurse care, infrastructure facilities, paramedic care, emergency services, checking of temperature, weight, blood pressure, etc. Will GST be applicable on such money retained by the officers? Third, food supplied to the patients. Healthcare services provided by the clinical establishment will include food supplied to the patients. But such goods may be prepared by the canteen, run by the hospitals, or may be outsourced by the hospitals from outdoor caterers. When outsourced, there should be no ambiguity that suppliers shall charge tax as applicable, and hospitals will get no ITC. If hospitals have their own canteens and prepare their own food, then no ITC will be available on inputs including capital goods. And in turn, if they supply food to the doctors and their staff, such supplies, even when not charged, may be subjected to GST. So this clarification of this is required. So they are saying that healthcare services जो clinical establishment provide करती है, authorized medical practitioners और paramedics में वो exempt है. अब इन क्वेश्चंस का आंसर है कि जो सर्विसेज प्रोवाइडेड बाय सीनियर डॉक्टर्स, कंसल्टेंट्स, टेक्नीशियंस हायर्ड बाय द हॉस्पिटल्स, चाहे वो एम्प्लॉय हो या नहीं हो, आर हेल्थ केयर सर्विसेज एंड आर एग्जाम. नंबर 1. नंबर 2 जो उन्होंने पूछा था रिटेंशन का, तो ये नाउ दे आर सेइंग दैट हेल्थ केयर सर्विसेज हैव बीन डिफाइंड टू मीन एनी सर्विस बाय वे ऑफ डायग्नोसिस, treatment or care of illness, injury, deformity, abnormality or pregnancy in any recognized system of medicine in India. Therefore, hospitals also provide healthcare services. The entire amount charged by them from the patients, including the retention money and the fee payments made to the doctors, is toward healthcare services and therefore exempt. तो ये भी exempt कर दिया. और थर्ड अब आता है फूड जो सप्लाई करते हैं. The food supplied to the inpatients as advised by the doctors or nutritionist is a part of composite supply. It's a part of composite supply of healthcare and not separately taxable. Other supplies of food by a hospital to the patients not admitted or their attendants or visitors are taxable. यानी अगर उसमें कैंटीन चल रहा हो, अगर इन पेशेंट्स को अगर वो दे रहे हैं तो वो तो कंपोजिट सप्लाई में होगा, द प्राइस इज इंक्लूडेड. बट अगर कोई बाहर से विजिटर्स हैं और उनको भी फूड सप्लाई हो रही है तो दैट विल बी टैक्सेबल. Another question which has been asked in this circular is circular number 32/2018 is appropriate clarification may be issued regarding the taxability of cost petroleum. Now friends, again I will just read this point because this may not be that much relevant, but let us see this. However, cost petroleum may be indication. Yeah, let me read it because जब इतना कर रहे हैं तो why to leave this also. As per the production sharing contract between the government and the oil exploration and production contractors, in case of a commercial discovery of a petroleum, the contractors are entitled to recover from the sale proceed all expenses including incurred in exploration, development, production and payment of the royalty. Portion of the value of petroleum which the contractor is established to take in a year for recovery of these contracts cost is called cost petroleum. तो जो वैल्यू ऑफ पेट्रोलियम के अंदर जो पोर्शन है जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर लेने के लिए एंटाइटल होता है कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कॉस्ट के हिसाब से, वो कॉस्ट पेट्रोलियम कहलाता है. और द रिलेशनशिप ऑफ द ऑयल एक्सप्लोरेशन and the production contractors with the government is not that of partners but that of licensor, lessor or licensee or leasee in terms of petroleum and natural gas rules 1959. तो ये जो रिलेशनशिप होता है एक्सप्लोरेशन, जो ऑयल एक्सप्लोरेशन का और प्रोडक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स का, ये पार्टनर्स का नहीं होता, लेजर लीसी का होता है. Having acquired the right to explore, exploit and sell petroleum in lieu of royalty and a share in petroleum profit, contractors carry out the exploration and production of petroleum for themselves and not as a service to the government. Para 8.1 of the model petroleum sharing contract states that subject to the provisions of PSC, the contractor shall have exclusive right to carry out petroleum operations to recover cost and expenses as provided in the contract. वो exclusive right है उसके पास. The oil exploration and production contractors conduct all petroleum operations at their sole risk, cost and expense. ये अपने रिस्क पे अपनी कॉस्ट पे करते हैं. Hence, cost petroleum is not a consideration for service to Government of India and thus not taxable per se. However, cost petroleum may be an indication of the value of mining or exploration services provided by operating member to the joint venture in a situation where the operating member is found to be supplying service to the oil exploration and production joint venture. So in short, it is not taxable. So friends, this is 32/2018 which clarifies the taxabilities and the rates in case of certain specified services which have been asked for. Moving to circular number 33/2018, in this the directions under section 168 of the CGST regarding the non-transition Senate credit under 140 or non-utilization thereof in certain cases is given. Let us take first point, non-utilization of disputed credit carried forward. तो यहाँ पे क्लैरिफाई किया है कि वेर इन रिलेशन टू अ सर्टेन सेनवेट क्रेडिट पर्टेनिंग टू विच अ शोकॉज नोटिस हैज इशूड अंडर रूल 14 ऑफ द सेनवेट क्रेडिट रूल्स, ऑलरेडी शोकॉज नोटिस आपका इशू हो चुका है, विच हैज बीन एडजुडिकेटेड एंड वेर in the last adjudication order or in the last order in appeal has it existed on 1st July 2017, it was held that such Senvet credit is not admissible. ऐसा कोई order आपका आ चुका है, then such Senvet credit credited to the electronic credit ledger in terms of section 140, these subsections shall not be utilized by the registered person to discharge the tax liability or under the IGST Act till the order in original or the last order in appeal as the case may be, holding that dispute as inadmissible is in existence. तो जब तक वो order है existence में तब तक आप उसको use नहीं कर सकते. This they are telling. So during this the period when the last order in original or the last order in appeal as the case may be, holding that disputed credit as inadmissible is in operation, if the said disputed credit is utilized, it shall be recovered from the taxpayer with interest and penalty as per the provisions of the act. So they have clearly said कि अगर कोई dispute चल रहा था, कोई शोकॉज नोटिस का स्टेज है एडजुडिकेशन का या फिर अपील का स्टेज है जो डिस्प्यूटेड आज भी है, तो आप उसको यूज नहीं कर सकते जो आपने क्रेडिट लिया है. यू कैनॉट यूज इट. तो अगर आप यूज करेंगे तो फिर वो आपसे रिकवर किया जाएगा इंटरेस्ट और पेनल्टी के साथ. नॉन ट्रांजिशन ऑफ ब्लॉक्ड क्रेडिट. Now it says in terms of clause 1 of subsection 1 of section 140 of the CGST Act, a registered person shall not take in his electronic credit ledger amount of Senvet credit as is carried forward in the return relating to the period ending with the day immediately preceding the appointed day, which is not eligible under the Act in terms of 17(5), such as telecommunication tower and pipelines laid outside the factory premises. तो अगर ये ब्लॉक क्रेडिट का केस है तब इसकी clarifications हैं. So now they are saying that if the said block credit is carried forward and credited to the electronic credit ledger in contravention of section 140, it shall not be utilized by the registered taxable person to discharge his tax liability under this act or IGST Act and shall be recovered from the taxpayer with interest and penalty as per the provisions of the act. तो अगर आपने कोई ऐसा ब्लॉक क्रेडिट ले लिया होगा तो उसको भी वो रिकवर करेंगे. दैट इज व्हाट दे आर explaining in this particular circular. In all the cases where the disputed credit as defined in 2.1 or block credit in 3.1 is higher than 10 lakhs, the taxpayer, जहाँ पे 10 लाख से ऊपर दोनों disputed credit में से हो, the taxpayer shall submit an undertaking to the jurisdictional officer of the central government that such credit shall not be utilized or has been availed as transitional credit as the case may be. अगर avail कर लिया है तो उसमें वो एक declaration देंगे ऑफिसर को, jurisdictional officer को, कि that it will not be utilized in case the amount exceeds 10 lakhs. In other cases of transitional credit of an amount lesser than 10 lakhs, the directions as above shall apply, but the need to submit the undertaking shall not apply. तो उस केस में उसको अंडरटेकिंग नहीं देना पड़ेगा. बाकी ये जो क्लैरिफिकेशन है ये लगेगा और उसके ऊपर टैक्स और इंटरेस्ट और पेनल्टी के साथ रिकवर कर सकते हैं अगर वो यूटिलाइज कर लेता है तो. मूविंग टू नेक्स्ट फ्रेंड्स, 34/2018. Again they are seeking certain clarifications, giving certain clarification in case of certain services. 1 मार्च 2018 का सर्कुलर है 34/2018. First question is whether activity of bus bodybuilding is a supply of service or goods. Now it clearly says that in case of bus bodybuilding there is a supply of goods and services both. Thus classification of this composite supply as goods or service would depend on supply, which is the principal supply, which may be determined on the facts and circumstances of the case. So yes, composite supply है, so it will depend on facts and circumstances of the case, and accordingly principal supply जो रहेगा उसके basis पे determine होगा कि ये supply of goods है या supply of services, but this is a composite supply. Whether retrading of tires is a supply of goods or services. Now in retrading of tires, which is a composite supply, the predominant element is process of retrading, which is supply of service. Now rubber used for retrading is an ancillary supply, which part of the composite supply is the principal supply. Must be determined keeping in view the nature of the supply involved. तो आपको ये determine करना पड़ेगा कि इसमें principal supply composite supply में से कौन सा है, and value may be one of the guiding factors in determination but not the sole factor. Value guiding factor हो सकता है लेकिन sole factor नहीं. The primary question that should be asked is what is the essential nature of the composite supply and which element of the supply impart the essential nature to the composite supply. The supply of retraded tires where old tires belong to the supplier of retraded tires is the supply of goods. तो सप्लाई ऑफ retraded tires is supply of goods retraded tires under heading 4012 of the customs attracting GST at the rate of 28%. इनका ये कहना है कि वैल्यू ऑफ एक फैक्टर रहेगा डिटर्मिनेशन का, बट वो सोल फैक्टर नहीं रहेगा. आपका सोल फैक्टर वो रहेगा कि जहाँ पे इसेंशियल नेचर जो है सप्लाई का वो क्या है और उसमें मोस्ट इसेंशियल एलिमेंट क्या है. अकॉर्डिंगली इट हैज टू बी डिसाइडेड whether priority sector lending certificates are outside the purview of GST and therefore not taxable. Friends, एक चीज का ध्यान रखें, ये जितने भी हम सर्विसेज और जितने भी सर्कुलर बात कर रहे हैं, this can be binding on the departmental officers. If you are not satisfied, like in few cases I am not satisfied, I am not convinced, so you can take your own stand and then you can argue this. But ऐसा नहीं है कि आपके ऊपर बाइंडिंग है. दिस इज और द रीजन व्हाई वी आर शेयरिंग ऑल दिस इज, ये हम सारे सर्कुलर्स को क्यों कवर करना चाह रहे हैं, द ओनली रीजन इज सो दैट यू आर अवेयर कि गवर्नमेंट ने ऐसा मैंडेट दिया है या ऐसा क्लैरिफिकेशन दिया है. अब उससे आप अग्री करें नहीं अग्री करें वो एक डिफरेंट इशू है. Whether priority sector lending certificates are outside the purview of GST and therefore not taxable. In Reserve Bank of India FAQs on PSLC, it has been mentioned that this may be construed to be in the nature of goods, dealing in which has been notified as a permissible activity under Section 6, subsection 1 of the Banking Regulation Act, while Government of India issued notification dated 4 February 2016. These are PSLC are not securities. These are akin to freely tradable duty scripts, renewable energy certificates, REP license or replenishment license which attracts VAT. Therefore, they are clarifying that in GST there is no exemption to trading in PSLC. Thus, PSLC are taxable as goods as a standard rate of 18% under the residuary serial number 453 of Schedule 3 of Notification number 1/2017. GST payable on the certificates would be available at ITC to the bank buying the certificates. Next question is, friends, when the activity is carried by DISCOMs against recovery of charges from consumers under the State Electricity Act are exempt from GST. Second, whether the guarantee provided by state government to state owned companies against the guarantee commission is taxable under GST. So now let us see the clarification. पहला क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो भी एक्टिविटी डिस्कॉम करता है और वो चार्जेस रिकवर करता है कंज्यूमर से स्टेट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एक्ट में, क्या वो एग्जेम्प्ट है. और दूसरा है कि जो गारंटी देती है स्टेट गवर्नमेंट स्टेट ओन्ड कंपनीज के अगेंस्ट में, तो क्या वो गारंटी कमीशन के अगेंस्ट में, तो क्या वो टैक्सेबल है जीएसटी में. Services by way of transmission or distribution of electricity by the electricity transmission or distribution utility is exempt from GST under section 12/2017. The other services such as application fees, rental charges, testing fees, labor charges from customers for shifting of meters, etc., charges for duplicate bill provided by DISCOMs to consumers are taxable. It is not exempt. It is taxable. Clear कर दिया है कि वो taxable है. Second question. Service provided by central government or state government to any business entity, including PSUs, by way of guaranteeing the loans taken by them from financial institutions against consideration in any form, including guarantee commission, is taxable. तो दूसरे में भी उन्होंने क्लैरिफाई कर दिया है कि वो टैक्सेबल है. तो फ्रेंड, दिस वाज 34/2018. Now moving to last circular of this particular video. This is a circular which I find is not that much relevant for many of us. It is 35/2018. It says joint venture taxable services provided by members of the joint venture to the joint venture and vice versa. यानी joint venture provide कर रहा है members को या members joint venture को provide कर रहे हैं, तो उन cases में what is the status? So that is they are willing to ask. So friends, I think let me wait. There can be discussion on illustrations directly, or we shall, let me read it. It will take not more than 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes maximum. Let me read this so that you can understand and we actually get to know what does this mean. Now they are saying सर्विस टैक्स रिजीम में एक सर्कुलर था which was 179/2014, जो ये क्लैरिफाई करता था कि अगर कोई भी कैश कॉल आता है जो केवल ट्रांजैक्शन इन मनी है, तो वो डेफिनेशन 65B44 यानी सर्विस का जो डेफिनेशन था उससे बाहर आ जाएगा। इसलिए कोई भी कैश कॉल है वो merely transaction in money है, not in the nature of consideration for taxable service, and it will also depend on the terms of the joint venture agreement, which may vary from case to case. Now circular clarified that cash calls sometimes could be in the nature of advance payments made by members toward the taxable services received from joint venture, and therefore the payments are made out of cash calls pooled by the JV towards taxable services received from a member or a third party is in the nature of consideration and hence attract service tax. तो ये दोनों चीजें आ रही थी, फैक्ट्स और सर्कमस्टांसेस पे देखना था. Now I'm skipping, moving to second point. It says in service tax law, the service was defined in 65B, which was an activity carried out by a person for another for consideration. Explanation 3 बोलता था that unincorporated association or body of persons, as the case may be, and member thereof shall be treated as distinct person. Now, what is the leviability under GST? GST is levied on intrastate and interstate supply of goods and services. Section 7 के हिसाब से supply includes all forms of supply such as these which is made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in course or furtherance of business and includes the activity of Schedule 2. Now, the definition of business under clause 17 of section 2 says that business includes provision by a club, association, society, or any such body of facilities or benefits to its members. The term person is defined in 284, which includes association of person, body of individuals, whether incorporated or not in India or outside India. Further, Schedule 2B enumerate करता है that activities which are to be treated as supply of goods or services. Para 7 में बोलता है supply of goods by an unincorporated association or body of persons to a member thereof for cash, deferred payment or other valuable consideration shall be treated as supply of goods. It shall be treated as supply of goods if it is supply of goods by unincorporated. A conjoint reading of above provisions implies that supply of services by unincorporated association or body of persons to a member thereof for cash or deferred payment or other valuable consideration shall be treated as supply of service. The above entry of Schedule 2 is analogous to and draws strength from the provision in Article 366(29)(a) Clause E of the Constitution, according to which a tax on sale or purchase of goods, including a tax on supply of goods by unincorporated association or body of person to a member thereof for cash or deferred consideration. Therefore, the law with regard to levy of GST on services supplied by member of unincorporated joint venture to the joint venture or to other members of joint venture or by the joint venture to the members essentially remains the same as it was in service tax. Therefore, it is clarified that 179 का जो circular था in the context of service tax is applicable for the purpose of levy of GST also. They have borrowed the same circular in the case of GST also, and therefore it is reiterated that the question whether cash calls are taxable or not will entirely depend on the facts and circumstances of each case. Cash calls are raised by an operating member of the joint venture on another member or other member in proportion to their participating interest in the joint venture to meet the expenditures on the operations to be carried out as per the approved work program and budget. So therefore, the taxability of cash calls can be further explained by the following examples. 1. Illustration A. 4 मेंबर हैं जेवी में, सब 100 रुपए कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, टोटल 400 रुपए इकट्ठा हो जाता है. जो ऑपरेटिंग मेंबर है वो मशीनरी खरीदता है जेवी के लिए जो ऑयल प्रोडक्शन में यूज होगा 400 रुपए की. इलस्ट्रेशन बी. 4 मेंबर हैं जेवी में, ऑपरेटिंग मेंबर भी है उसमें और सब 100 रुपए कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं. 400 रुपए जो इकट्ठे होते हैं वो ऑपरेटिंग मेंबर यूज करता है उसकी खुद की मशीन में और परफॉर्म एक्सप्लोरेशन का काम करता है और प्रोडक्शन एक्टिविटीज ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ जेवी करता है. तो इलस्ट्रेशन ए विल नॉट बी सब्जेक्ट मैटर ऑफ जीएसटी for the reason that the operating member is not carrying out any activity for another for consideration. Illustration A में जो money which is paid for machinery is merely in the nature of capital contribution and therefore a transaction in money. दूसरे केस में वो खुद के लिए यूज कर रहा है. The operating member uses its own machinery and is therefore providing services within the scope of CGST. This is because in this scenario the operating member is recovering the cost appropriated towards machinery and services from the other joint venture members in their participating ratio, and therefore that will be taxable. So friends, this was 35/2018. So friends, in this video we have covered the explanation to and the discussion about circular number 31 to circular number 35. Friends, I would like to reiterate one thing. आप प्लीज ये ध्यान में रखें कि ये सर्कुलर्स हैं. These circulars are binding on the departmental officers. These are never binding on us. So if you are not convinced with some explanation which is given in these clarifications, then please don't worry. You are not supposed to be bound with that. You can very well dispute it, or you can very well decide on your own and proceed for your own actions. So friends, we'll come out with another version of or another video of which will have the discussion from circle number 36 to circle number 40 in some time. Till that time, I am grateful to each one of you for patience hearing. Thank you friends. Thank you very much.